things, and that's what customer experience is. It's about trying to close the gap between what customers expect and what customers actually get on the other side of things. So what we're trying to do from a customer experience perspective is manage both sides of that equation. It isn't just about delivering great service or delivering great products or delivering a great channel experience on one side of things. It's also about what you do over here in terms of managing your brand reputation. So what happens as an organization is if you make a promise on this side of the equation, yeah, word of mouth, you're making a promise. Branding, marketing, communications, you're making a promise over here. Making a promise on one side of the equation, but then when you actually deliver reality to people over here on this side of the equation, and the two things don't match up, what are your customers going to do? They're going to go, they're going to leave. However, the world has changed. They don't just leave anymore. It isn't just about letting them, making a promise and letting them down and they leave. What happens now is that you make a promise over here, you let them down over here, they leave, but they go back into this space over here and they tell all their friends how bad the experience was as well. Double whammy. What we're really trying to do is move customers up the loyalty ladder. Okay, that's what we're really trying to achieve. So we're trying to turn prospects into customers. We're trying to turn, hopefully, customers into clients, clients into supporters, supporters into advocates. Okay, so is that the top of the ladder? That's what we're here to talk about, isn't it? Advocacy. Well, no. Theorists like to come up with a whole new set of definitions, so there's always new definitions that come along. So now we move from advocates to partners. So partners is the top of the ladder, is it? No, it isn't. Fans. And I'm going to talk a little bit about fans in a second, yeah? Fans is the next level of customer advocacy. So clearly the fan must be the top of the pile. So no, sorry. We got one more rung. Okay, the zealot. At a recent conference that I went to, one of my esteemed colleagues started talking about zealots, and then another guy got on the stage as well, and he started talking about super promoters. So there's this whole new level of advocate out there, the super promoter or the zealot. And really what we wanted to try and do is get the customers up there to the top of the ladder. What that video shows is a number of different things. First of all, it shows us that fans have completely different buying motivations to customers. Yeah? You don't have to persuade fans to do business with you. They're going to do business with you anyway. Okay. The second thing that I notice about that video is that when you get onto the level of fans, you're no longer talking about functional delivery. You're talking about emotions. I don't know, I'm a particularly emotional person, and when I see that video, I feel myself going, there's something, it draws something out of me. Okay, to achieve the state, I'm a fan, okay, but being a fan doesn't mean that you always have to wow customers. Have you ever heard the phrase of wowing customers? Wowing them, we've got to wow them, we've got to make them really, really happy. I support a Bradford City football team. Okay, and other than the fact that we beat Chelsea 4-2 the other day, yes. Other than that, there isn't always a great deal of reason to feel wowed. Yeah, but I'm still a fan. And the reason why I'm still a fan is because they make a promise and they deliver against that promise. It isn't always a good promise, but I know what I'm going to get. And occasionally when they actually exceed that, it's really important. So that's fundamentally, that's what we need to try and do to turn customers into fans. And the key message that I really, really liked in that video is that customers give their money and fans give their heart. And when they give their heart, they will tell everybody in the world about that. So that's why it's so important to move people. But I'd like to talk a little bit about NPS. Does everybody here know about NPS, Net Promoter Score? For anybody who doesn't, There's a few people sitting there going, no, I've not heard of NPS. NPS is a very, very clever market research question. Rather than, it's the evolution of customer satisfaction. Years ago, I used to ask the question, how satisfied are you with? Okay, and then they realized that we were all getting apathetic when we were filling out our surveys. So rather than we've all done those. Yeah, down the middle. I'm tired. I can't be bothered. So what they did is they said, okay, let's rephrase the question. We're not going to ask how satisfied you are with the product and service. We're going to ask you the question, how likely you would be to recommend the service to your friends and family members. They did a very clever thing, because they're not really asking how likely you would be to recommend the service to your friends and family members. What they're doing is asking how satisfied you are with the service. But when you're asked that question about how likely you are to recommend it to friends and family members, you have to think about it. Because you're prepared to make a mistake for yourself, aren't you? But you're less likely to upset a friend or family member. So before you make the decision as to whether you're going to recommend or not, you have to think about it, and that's what makes it clever. You can tell a zealot who has filled out an NPS form because they write 12 at the top and put a cross. It's not the only measure. There are other measures. So lots of people are now questioning as to whether NPS is the most relevant metric. Has anybody heard of customer effort score? Okay, customer effort score is an alternative to NPS. And if your product or service is considered to be quite utilitarian, maybe a little, I like that word, vanilla, yeah, undifferentiated, then asking the question whether you recommend the service to your friend and family members is not relevant. Can you imagine a funeral parlour asking you to fill out a form that says, would you recommend our service to a friend and family member? It's not always that relevant. Customer effort score is becoming more relevant for organisations that want to ask the question of their customers, how much effort did you have to put into this? How difficult was it for you dealing with the company? And some people are tending to go in that direction. But both of them are indications as to how likely a customer is going to be an advocate or a detractor of your business. Should we be attempting to leverage advocacy? Now, I think the answer is yes, you can. But I think you have to be really careful about how you go about doing it. If you've ever had a bad service experience on a website, and then you get one of those surveys popping up that says, are you prepared to give us your opinion as to how well has anybody had those? What do you think about the website? We're more likely to go no, press the top corner, the cross in the top corner, and then go onto Facebook and slag it off to our friends. What customer experience is really about is about keeping your promises. So if you're going to say great things about yourself actively through advocacy management, fantastic, but you have to be prepared to deliver on it. And what is worse than going out and saying wonderful things about yourself is going out and saying wonderful things about yourself that you know are not true. You're best not saying anything about yourself if the situation isn't that great. Yeah, the public relations. We all saw what happened. Remember with the BP disaster and everything like this. The guy wouldn't shut up, would he? The guy wouldn't stop. Best practice: understand how people feel about you. Research is absolutely essential nowadays in terms of customer advocacy. Also, research isn't good enough anymore. We said that people are becoming apathetic towards responding. So as well as doing research, social listening. Does anybody here use social listening? Yeah. Social listening is great. For anybody who doesn't know what social listening is, I'm sure everybody within the technology space does know what it's all about. But one of the great things about social listening is you find out what people really like. Doing sentiment analysis on verbatim text and all that sort of thing is wonderful. One of the weaknesses of that is there isn't a great deal of empirical data, so you need to still do research alongside social listening to make sure that you're getting an accurate view as to what customers really do think about you. Utilize your promoters. Yeah, that's fine, that's great. That's what Strand help organisations do, to utilise their promoters. But also utilise your detractors as well. Use them. Use them to make your service better. And that's what we work with organisations to help them get better, by understanding what their detractors say about them as well. Manage both sides of the equation, which we've spoken about earlier. So close the gap between reputation and reality. They're not talking anymore about brand. They don't use the word brand, because when you use the word brand, people go, oh yes, yeah, fluffy marketing stuff. Nowadays, they're using the word reputation. And reputation is a lot more representative a word of what we're talking about. So we're closing the gap between the reputation and the reality of what the business delivers. And don't overpromise and underdeliver, or underpromise and overdeliver. What have we just witnessed there? Okay, it started with one guy, yeah, a loon. Yeah, he's dancing by himself. And how long was he dancing by himself for? Quite a while, yeah, and nobody else did it, yeah? What was everybody around him thinking at the time? He's a loony. And then what happened is the second guy who came along was really, really important, yeah? Because he reinforced what the first guy was doing, and all of a sudden it became increasingly appropriate for other people to join it. And by the end, if you were on the ground, sitting down and not dancing, you were the loon. Okay, so this demonstrates the power of advocacy, yeah? So use your promoters, use your zealots, use those people who are crazy mad about you, because at first people might think that they're crazy, but they'll bring all the other crazy people out of the woodwork. Okay, thank you very much. Well, you said delivering on your promise, which every business should do. How many businesses don't do it? I would be out of work if that wasn't the case. So that's the first message. There are still a lot of businesses that don't deliver. How do you create advocates? I don't think there's wrong with actively managing advocates and getting the people who love your product to go out there and do it. But I think that if you improve the customer experience to such an extent, you give people such a good customer experience, are you going to have to? They're going to do it for you anyway. But I still go and tell people about how much I love First Direct. And you know why? Because they don't wow me. They never have wowed me. Never. But they've always kept their promise. And despite that, I will still go out there and I will promote them. So if you try and promote your advocates too actively, it will appear to be contrived. Actually, it'd be interesting to ask you guys there, with some of the clients that you work with, do you find that often the advocates of your clients are people who come and say, can I help? Oh, yeah, sure. Can I help? I want to talk about how wonderful this is, yeah? So it's just giving them a voice, giving them an opportunity to say how they feel. If you run an active advocacy management program and you say, oh, we're wonderful, we've done this and we've done that and we've done the other, but then on the other side of things, you don't do the social listening and you don't do your research to find out how people are feeling about your organization, there's a disjoint between what you're saying about yourself and what other people are saying about you or feeling about you. More importantly, when their emotions start to get touched, that's where it has a really, really big impact. So yeah, you're absolutely right.